So I'm sure on the last video, this part pretty much confused the heck out of you. I understand I went through that pretty quickly. Okay, so what I want you to see is the difference between this problem and this problem. Here, this is 10 and this is 10. It matches. But here, this was 18, but I finished with 10. So I had something left over to get there. So if it works out perfectly, like if that was 18, then there wouldn't be this column here. So there's that remainder of 8. Okay. So with that being said, let's do another one. We're going to do more practice on this, don't worry. This is definitely an easier lesson taught three-dimensionally versus 2. So be patient with yourself and be patient with me. Okay. So here's the yellow. We got to find the other yellow, and then here's our blue answer. So that means that blue answer is going to go right down here. And some of you go, do I have to write it down there? No, but I almost feel like it's easier than just looking up. So for me, it kind of keeps my sanity. I know the first one goes here. I know the last one goes here. Now, if it ends perfectly, and that ends up being -1, it's like this one, there is no remainder. If it ends up being like this one where you get 10, but it's actually 18, then you're going to have something left over. And we'll get to that, okay? So let me zoom in a little bit. 6x cubed. Okay, so I'm going to be multiplying. Careful, don't put 3, because it's 3 times 2 gives me 6, 2x squared. This times this gives you this. Some of you go, I kind of like this, because this is a fun little game. All right? Now, if I did the 6x cubed, that's done. Now I'm focused on how the heck do I get the 11x squared? Well, I have 2x squared. Oh, if I add a 9x squared to that, then I get my 11x squared. That means this has to be plus 3x, because 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. Then I multiply that down here. Okay, well, I have 3x, but I need negative 12x. So that's negative 15x. And some of you go, well, how are you doing that? I don't see it. You're thinking of 3, let me lower that, plus what number is going to give you negative 12? That's like solving for x, isn't it? So that's like 3 plus x equals negative 12, minus 3 minus 3, x equals negative 15, and negative 15 is what we got here. We'll do more practice on that if that helps. Some of you go, what? I just saw it was negative 15. Well, then you're good. You don't need that. But that's really what you're doing. You're solving for x in your head. So then negative 5. Negative 5 times this to confirm. Negative 5. Oh, well, shoot. That's negative 5. But it's not supposed to be negative 5. It's supposed to be negative 1. So then I have to go negative 5 plus what number gives me negative 1? Negative 5 plus x equals negative 1. Add 5. X equals 4. And some of you go, well, I just knew that. Well, great. If you just knew that, then you're good to go. But not all of us do. So that's my remainder. I have something left over. That means that this does not divide into that perfectly. That means that this does not divide into that perfectly. This means, because there is no remainder, that this divides by this perfectly. I'm sorry, this divides by this perfectly because there was no remainder. Okay, so now my answer is 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 plus 4 over my divisor. Okay, we'll do more practice on that. It's the next section. That's why it's just called 8.3.1a. All right, this was a homework problem, but I think it should be done together. So pretty much they took this, they graphed it here and got that. From the graph, what number appears to be an integer solution? An integer is a whole number. So that's like if I have x minus 2, and then I have x squared plus 3x minus 11. If I set this equal to 0, I get x equals 2. And maybe I did the quadratic formula and I get negative 5 plus or minus 2 rad 6 over 9. I don't know. If I put this in my calculator, I'll get a decimal. Okay? So they want to know which one is an integer. So let me underline that. They want to know which one's a whole number. That one doesn't perfectly cross, doesn't perfectly cross. That one perfectly crosses. And negative 7. Okay. Verify that your answer to part A is a solution. So what I did is I graphed it on Desmos. Let me change the highlight thing. And you can see that there's my -7. So we're good to go. All right. Now, since you know that -7 is the solution, what is the factor associated with it? So now what they want you to do is go backwards. So that would be x plus 7. And if you set that equal to 0, you get -7. That's going to come into play. So now they want you to use polynomial division, which is what we just did in this section, to figure out what the answer of the rest of them are. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to put this x plus 7 here. Okay? And what we need to figure out is what is going to go up here. So we'll take this, we'll bring it down here. And since I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this yellow here is right there. We're going to figure out this. So we're going this divided by this, and then we get the answer. Now we remember this one goes in the first spot, this one goes in the last spot. So x cubed and -14. All right, so now let's do some dividing. X squared, 7x squared. That one's done. The problem is this is 7x squared, but my answer is 5x squared, so -2x squared, because 7 minus 2 is 5. That one's done. Now that would be -2x, -14x. This is -14x, but that's -16x, so -2x, because that makes -16. Now -2, -14. Ooh, that's what I'm supposed to get. Okay, so that means that now it works out perfectly. -14 is what I'm supposed to have. And now they want you to rewrite your other answer. So my actual answer to this is x squared minus 2x minus 2. If I was factoring this, one of my answers is x plus 7, and the other one is x squared minus 2x minus 2. So yellow times yellow gives you this answer right here. So if I went this times this and I boxed it out, I should get that. Okay? Then it says the other factor leads to 2 other solutions. What are the 2 other solutions? So this one I can either solve by the quadratic formula, or I can complete the square. I think completing the square is easier, so x squared minus 2x, move it over. This has got to be second nature. Do your cute little box, +1 + 1. I can do the box in my head, and I can solve this in my head, but for you, it's okay if you show all the steps. But I want you to see you would square root, plus or minus, move it over. Now, that means I have 3 real solutions. One of them's -7. That's really real. And this is a decimal. 1 plus rad 3, 1 minus rad 3. Okay? So now your homework, what they want you to do is solve it, graph it, and then they want you to find the other solutions. So 893 is exactly like 892. So what they want you to do, see that that 1? There's that -7. Go backwards, do your box, get the answer, and then take that and solve. Try your best, okay? I don't mind helping you out. In this one, what they want you to do is decide if it's A, B, C, or D, and in whatever way you want to get this. Use whatever method you can, but don't just circle A or circle B or circle C. You got to show me some work. All right, so now in this problem, they want you to factor. So you can factor, do your cute little magic X, and then set it equal to 0, and then answer whatever question they have here. Looks like in this one, they want you to find the inverse. You know how to find the inverse. Sequencing. I didn't really have a chance to go over sequencing, so I will do that now. It's just a list of numbers. Okay, they want the first 3 terms. So if I want the first term, plug in 1. If they want the second term, plug in 2. If they want the third term, plug in 3, and then put commas and list those 3 numbers and you're good. Okay, they think now this time this is a term in the sequence, so they think that that is your t sub n. What they want you to do is take this, plug it in, and solve, and you may have to use logs. Okay, same thing here. with the 94,500. All right, this one I'll do with you, and the idea is perpendicular. So perpendicular means if I graph this, let's say I graphed it and I went up 2, down 5, not very drawn to scale, down 1, okay? And they want it to go through the point -2, 5. They want you to create a perpendicular line that also goes through it. Well, perpendicular means it makes 90 degrees. 90 degrees means that it's changing the slope. So here it's down 5, right 1. So that means now you're going to have to go completely opposite, which ends up being 1/5. So what does that mean? Instead of it going down, it's going up. That's the opposite. And instead of it being really steep, it's not so steep, which means you're finding the inverse, which is 1/5. So now I have the slope. But I don't have the y-intercept. So what they want you to do is take this, plug it in for x and y, and then solve. So I'll take the 5, plug it in. This looks like a problem that might be good to do on a quiz to see, did you really just copy it? This is a good review. Add 2/5. So one way you could do is get rid of the fraction, multiply everything by 5, then solve, solve, solve. But I'm old enough, I know that if this is -2/5, I can add 2/5, which is 5 2/5. And that's my b. So y equals 1/5 x plus 5 2/5. If I want to be even fancier, 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27 over 5. Sorry, really pretty. Okay. And that's it for the homework. So these assignments haven't been that long.